Liverpool 2, Wolves 1. That was not good for my health, I'll tell you. My heart was going overdrive in those last 10 minutes. But we're back to 7 points clear at the top, same games. We've got a +7 goal difference on Arsenal. There's 13 games to go. It's our 18th win in 25 league games. Arsenal have won 15. And Mo Salah gets the winner again with his 23rd goal of the season and our 60th goal in the league this season, way more than anyone else. I think Arsenal have 51. We battled and we scrapped our way to 3 points that were absolutely essential. You're playing a team in the bottom 4, you'd almost think it's a gimme that you're going to get the points, but no way. So let's get into the game. First half, Gakpo was out. There was a talk about him being injured, and it looks like he is. Jota came back in, Trent came back in as right back, Diaz moved to the left. And you know what? It all started so predictably. Wolves, bottom 4, playing with basically 2 banks of 5, trying to keep us out. And it was one-way traffic. And I'm thinking, oh, this is good. All we need is an early goal. And we got it. We got the early goal. Lovely work from the front 3. It ends up deflecting off a Wolves player, and Luis Diaz gets there before the keeper and chests it home. That was at 15 minutes, and you're thinking, excellent. Maybe we can relax for once. Who knew? Then Jota headed over. Jota had another chance when there was a mix-up in the Wolves box, and he just about got a block in. Wolves had 3 players, but no, they had 2 players and the manager all booked for moaning about decisions. Then Konate picks up a soft yellow card. I mean, yeah, he slightly dragged the player back, but it was like 80 yards from goal. Anyway, the referee books him for it. And that was a key moment in the game, that booking. Then Szoboszlai fires one just past the post. Then Jota gets a bit of an angle, but he gets denied by the keeper. Finally, the pressure told. Luis Diaz goes through. He's felled by the keeper. And Mo Salah steps up. Does a very unusual penalty. Sort of curls it down the middle. And the keeper dived. And it's 2-0 on 37 minutes. And now you're thinking, all we need now is the 3rd goal. Come out in the second half, get that 3rd goal, and we can kill the game off. Did not work that way at all. Konate went in for a tackle while he went in for a challenge, and he just rams the Wolves player. Jamie Carragher said on commentary it wasn't worthy of a yellow card. At half time they were saying it was. All I'll say is it could have been given. You wouldn't have been able to say it was one of those dodgy decisions. I think he got a bit lucky, if I'm honest. Konate was living on a knife edge. He just didn't seem to be up to the pace, and it was very clear that he was not going to come out for the second half, and he didn't. The half ends with 10 shots to 1 in Liverpool's favour. That just shows the dominance that we had. So the second half, Wolves came out on the front foot straight away, and Liverpool couldn't cope with their intensity. I thought we're going to get complacent, we're going to suffer for it. The first 5 minutes of that second half, Wolves were peppering our goal, and we couldn't get a foothold at all. And it was a pattern that was continued throughout the second half. Kwanzaa was caught flat-footed in one of the first attacks in the second half. He plays the player on side, he's clean through. Alisson brings off one of those brilliant Alisson saves and keeps it at 2-0, but the warnings were there. And I'm thinking, wake up lads, wake up. We did have a couple of moments. Mo Salah was fractionally offside and ran through, brilliant finish, but it was given offside. It was offside. And then Jota jinks past the last defender, falls over. It's given us a penalty, and then it's overturned, and it was rightly overturned. And I don't know why he just didn't stay on his feet and finish it, because had he stayed on his feet, he wasn't touched. Had he stayed on his feet, the goal was there to be scored. And that would, I think, have knocked the stuffing out of him, but it wasn't to be. Wolves pressure told. Liverpool backed off. Gravenberch backed off. You don't allow Cunha, by far and away their best player, a high class player, and he kills it beyond Alisson into the net, and it's 2-1. And that just made matters worse. The stadium got nervous, the players got nervous, Wolves got inspired, and he just kept coming at us and coming at us and coming at us. But you know, as the half wore on, I realised this wasn't complacency. I don't think this was the usual complacent attitude of being 2-0 up. They looked knackered. They looked absolutely exhausted out there in that field, all of them, in that second half. And I was thinking, how many of our key players have played almost every minute of the season, certainly in the league, and they all looked laboured. Szoboszlai was doing his best. He was sort of on overdrive, trying to win battles in midfield, but he was losing them. Ryan Gravenberch, who has been absolutely outstanding in every single game he's played, looked a shadow of himself today, and he really did look like this was one game too many for him. And he's a young lad, and he could not get a grip of the game. Andy Robertson was struggling again, and at no point in that second half did we ever gain control. The best it got was we got a couple of periods around about the 70th minute and towards the end of the game where we gained control of the possession for a while, but it didn't last, and Wolves kept coming at us and coming at us. Another thing I was thinking as I'm watching this and seeing them labouring so much, I'm thinking, how much is that emotional and physical game against Everton the other night and the way it ended had an impact on them? It was a hell of a game, it was a hell of an occasion. It was a full-on battle for over 100 minutes, and I really think that played a part in the fatigue that we saw on show today. I have to say, as laboured and under the cosh as we were, Wolves were excellent in that second half. They fully deserved something out of that game. Thankfully they didn't get it, but they certainly deserved something, and there's no way that team's going down. There's no chance. They are head and shoulders above the other strugglers down there. I think it ended up being 15 shots in a row in the second half when we didn't have a single shot at all in the entire second half for the first time since 2017. That just shows how under the cosh we were. And the game ended with Wolves having 16 shots, 4 on target, and we had 10 shots and 3 on target. The little worrying pattern in that is that we only had 6 shots against Everton and we only had 10 today, when we've been normally well into the 20s in the games. Wolves also had greater than 50% possession in the entire game. Now, when was the last time that happened in any game, home or away? But anyway, we hung on. There were 3 moments in the second half, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. When I do, I'll get onto the shout-outs. So, the first one has to go to Luis Diaz, reinstated on the left, where he's much, much better. That's his game. That's his skill set. He was key in scoring the first goal and then winning the penalty. He eventually was sacrificed for Endo because we were so under the cosh that Arne Slot decided to go with one extra midfielder and sacrifice it up front. The substitutions by Arne Slot, we normally see the subs having an impact in a positive way in terms of getting the vital goals or being the vital creator. This time, 3 of the subs, Conor Bradley, Jarell Quansah and Endo, all 3 of them played an absolutely key part in keeping this at 2-1. Those 3, what you could call bit part players in terms of the amount of time that they've had on the field, all 3 of them had the energy that the others seemed to lack. All 3 of them made absolutely vital contributions. There was one where Conor Bradley fought his man to win a goal kick for us just when we needed it, and he fist pumped. He was so thrilled because he knew what it meant Kwanzaa did one absolutely unbelievable block at 2-1 when the Wolves player couldn't miss. Adik got past him and he appeared from nowhere, and it was an incredible block. And then Endo battling for everything. Yeah, he gave a couple of free kicks away. One was a definite free kick, the other one was not. It gave them a free kick 20 yards out, which thankfully came to nothing, but he shouldn't have been penalised for it. Should have gone the other way. But he makes an unbelievable tackle in the 91st or 92nd minute, and he wrestles the ball off the player, and then his strength is there, and the player fouls him, and the pressure is relieved again. And those three moments by those three substitutes were a big factor in us winning that game today. So fantastic to them. I do want to mention Szoboszlai as well. Until he ran out of steam, he was everywhere. He was putting it in. He was doing all the hard yards. And in the end, he couldn't cope with the wave of Wolves' attacks. And so in the end, he tired. But he was really, really good for the majority of that game. And the last shout out goes to Alisson for, at the time, it would have only taken the game to 2-1. But how big a save was that in the overall scheme of how this game went? Typically brilliant Alisson save when a player is clean through and just has to put it past them and he can't. So after all that, we won it, and I've never been more relieved in my life. But the next game is only 3 days away. They've put this fixture, they've rammed it into midweek when we've only got one league game in all of March. In fact, the next week we've got 3 more league games. We've got Wednesday Villa away, we've got City on Sunday away, and then we've got Newcastle on Wednesday at home. It seems all season the next few games have been like defining games. I can't remember us having like a set of fixtures where you go, oh, that looks easy. And these are incredibly tough fixtures. But after we navigate Villa and City, we then have 4 of the next 5 games at our home in the league. We've got Newcastle, Southampton, Everton, West Ham, with Fulham in the middle as the only away game. But 4 out of 5 home games could be massive. So we just got to get through these 2 games. After Newcastle on February the 6th, we only have 1 league game in the whole of March. 1. And it's our home to Southampton. And then we don't have another league game till April. So with all that said, Arnie, give the lads a day off. In fact, don't give them a day off. Take them all to the spa or the sauna tomorrow. Relaxation it has to be with Villa coming up on Wednesday. So let's get ready for them. Yeah, it's Villa. It's never an easy place to go, but Villa haven't won for 4 league games. They've drawn 3 and lost 1 of the last 4, though they're in a bit of a slump themselves. Let's regroup after that. It was a wake-up call because it was a hell of a game. We got away with it. We've got to be proud of the lads after today, if nothing else, for the fighting, the battling, the spirited rearguard defence that they put in that second half against a very good Wolves team. So let's go. Let's go to Villa. Let's get that massive 3 points. That'll put us 10 points clear of Arsenal if we can do that. And how much pressure does that put on them? I'll see you after the Villa game on Wednesday. You'll never walk alone. All the best. Cheers. Ta-ra.